Yeah, I had a exact conversation yesterday with one of my brand new agents. Right, she's asking me for like, and she was in the U.S. Air Force for 23 years, retired recently, moved from New Mexico. Her husband is still in New Mexico. He's still serving, right? But she's like, Alan, what do I do? I don't have my sphere, don't have a network of people, like don't have friends, don't have any family members.
Right.
How do I get in front of people? And I said, open houses.
That's it.
If you like now drop me in the middle of nowhere and tell me in the next 30 days find a deal, open houses,
Right.
right?
Right.
I remember when I got my license 2013, and I shared the story before. Not sure if I shared it with you though. My first listing after 6 months was a $100,000 listing. It was right off 83rd Avenue in Camelback. And the buyer's agent pulled up at a really nice car. I think it was like Mercedes-Benz, pearl white color. And I started having a conversation with him. I think he was like your age. He was like 55, maybe a little bit older.
Would you stop saying that? 45.
45.
45.
And I was like, hey, like, what do you do in terms of like business? Like, how do you get business? And he's like, oh, I just hold open houses 4 or 5 times a week. I was like, really? And that year, I think he did like 45 transactions.
Yeah.
And the next day, I was like, I'm going to call, I didn't have any listings, right? I'm going to call agents. I'm going to get a listing. I'm going to borrow the listing and I'm going to hold open houses, which I did. And I remember my first open house, had no clue what I was doing, borrow somebody else's listing sign, open house signs.
Right.
I got a client. They bought a house with me. They sold a house with me, and they referred me to like 10 other people.
Yeah. Yeah.
And since then, I was like, man, I'm going to be doing open houses every single week.
Yeah. Absolutely. I mean, it's the same thing. I mean, the neighbors, you get to know the neighbors just by sitting there. You know, I used to have one neighbors come in, and they used to bring me food. Like, you've been sitting here all day, you know what I mean? And sure enough,
It's incredible.
yeah, they called me. Yeah, they brought me tamales.
Yeah.
That's what they brought me.
Yeah.
I said, you guys don't really have to do that. They were like, no, you've been here all day and you're trying to really sell this house. And eventually, actually, we did sell that house. We actually sold that house in an open house.
Interesting.
Somebody came in and purchased that house. But that client who used to bring me the food, yeah, they listed their house with me as well.
Yeah. I picked up a listing recently in Arrowhead Lakes. It's under contract right now. And we did an open house course, like a class for my new agents
Yeah.
a couple of weeks ago. It was on Tuesday from 10 to 1 p.m. I had 6 people that walked in.
Yep.
Out of those 6, 3 are like really warm prospects.
Yep. Yeah.
That was on Tuesday from 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. You think nobody would show up on Tuesday? People show up, people go,
no,
and
they
people
do.
do things. Yeah.
They do. And twilights, we're starting to do like the twilights. So run them like on a Thursday from like 3 to 6 or something like that.
Yeah.
You know, not traditionally. We're also experimenting with the 1 hour open houses, not to kind of dilute it with everybody else's open houses right now. Because there's a lot, if you see. I mean, a couple of years back, there was no open house signs anywhere. You drive down the street. Now they're on every corner and they're stacked 3, 4.
Really?
Oh,
I never
yeah.
see that many open houses at all.
Oh.
I mean, I don't know how it is up in Anthem or North Phoenix,
It's
but here, I mean, you barely see any signs at all. I'm talking about in Peoria. I'm talking about North Glendale.
yeah, no, Anthem, we're stacked with them.
Like there are 25,000 listings right now. You would think that you would be seeing open houses on every street corner, and that's not the case. At least like in this area, I see it here and there, but not like sign after sign.
Yeah, no, we have sign after sign.
Interesting.
Yeah, I'll send you a picture of it next time.
Wow.
There's a lot, and Anthem is kind of it's fluctuating a lot. You know, we go from like number 1 in the market to like number 5 in the market all in a couple weeks. You know, it really just depends.
So what do you do differently when it comes to open houses? Like, and the reason I'm asking you is because agents constantly asking me like, hey man, like what's the best date out of the week? What's the best time out of the day? What do I say? How do I get their information? All of that stuff. So what do you do?
So I don't really think there's a best time or day. I think that is just consistency. So if you're just doing it consistently, you're going to meet people, you know, And again, my philosophy is I'm never going to sell a house. I'm going to sell myself to a client and make sure I take care of that client so they send me whoever they know. So when it comes to capturing people, I just kind of let them freely walk through the house. I don't bug them. I'm not down their throat.
So you don't have like a check-in sheet or something like that?
No, not really.
None of that?
Not really.
Nope.
And at the end of the day, when they start asking me questions about the house and things like that, that's when you start to get to know them.
Okay, got it. So you're letting them ask you questions versus you asking them questions.
Correct.
Interesting. You see, my approach is a little bit different though. I ask them questions.
Like how did they get in, things like that. Conversation.
Yeah, conversations, rapport building. I want to know if they're a buyer or they're a seller, if they live in a neighborhood or they're looking to move into the neighborhood.
Right.
Right. That's really what I start with. But you're letting them roam around and then come to you.
So I will introduce myself and I will ask them those sort of questions. What brings you in today? Do you live in the neighborhood? Things in that nature. And then, after that point, once I get that information, that's okay. Well, here's a sheet on the property itself. Let me know if you have any questions.
Yeah.
And then I usually let them come back to me at that point.
Interesting. How many signs are you putting outside?
I like to keep it at 4, so that way I could double up on the signs. So you have those 4 turns, X marks your spot type thing, when you get to the house.
Yeah.
So I like to keep it at 4 so I could double up on the sign, so I could do about 8 or 10.
8 or 10 signs. Got it. So signs outside, and then obviously inside of it, you probably have brochures, flyers,
flyers,
seller guide, buyer guide, right? Lender information. What about business cards?
Business cards I do put out.
Interesting.
I do put
See,
out
I
business
don't.
cards. You don't?
No, and they're all asked for it. And then I say, you know what? Better yet, instead of giving you a business card, I tell them that I run out of business cards. I just ask their phone number and I text them my information. That's how I get their phone number.
Yeah. Yeah, that makes sense too.
It works 95% of the time for me.
Yeah, and a lot of times you're going to get those looky-loos, and you're going to get those neighbors that are coming in, just to poke around and things like that, get information, or they're just bored.
Yeah.
They just, are going to walk the property itself. Yeah, and at the end, usually, if you get 10 people to come in, we'll probably get about 8 people's information.
That's pretty good.
Yeah.
Like I did one 2 weeks ago. Like 6 people walked in. I got all of their information.
Yeah.
I didn't give any of my business cards, but I got all of their cell phone numbers.
Yeah.
Right. And I actually guide them how to store, like I said, Alan Kay, the realtor.
Yeah.
So this way it's already in their phone book, right? Okay, so you don't ask any questions like in the beginning, right? You obviously ask afterwards, right? Like I, on the other hand, I introduced myself and I was like, hey guys, do you live in a neighborhood or you're shopping for your next home? And like, oh, we live in a neighborhood. Oh, awesome. Which house is yours? How long you been in that house? What do you like about your house? What do you like about this neighborhood, right? And I'm doing this while we're walking around and I'm showing things around, right? Like that's exactly what I'm doing and I'm building a rapport. That's really my approach.
Yeah.
Most of the time, I'm guiding them through the house.
Right.
I don't know. I'm not really one of those people that will allow people just roam around.
Yeah, I let them kind of roam.
Yeah?
I let them kind of roam around.
But it works for you, though, right?
It does. It does. It's a very laid back approach.
Interesting.
And again, that's where our follow up. If you don't have the follow up afterwards, then
Yeah, I mean, it's just a waste of time.
then it's a waste of time.
Yeah.
So then, we're really good at following up, and then kind of going from there. This last month we closed a gentleman that we met 2 years ago in an open house.
Interesting.
Yeah, and we met him in Anthem, and he wasn't ready to sell right then. He was actually ready to sell, but then he had some health issues, and he called us 2 years later. But even with that follow-up, I never called him and asked him about real estate. I asked him how he was doing and how his wife Edith was doing, and that's all I did. I didn't talk to him about real estate. When is he looking to sell? When does he want to sell? I actually called him and asked him if he needed anything. Do you need anything? You guys feeling okay? Remember, I just lived right down the street from you, so if you guys need anything. So he called and said, hey, I'm ready. Let's put my house up onto the market. We sold his house. Took us 30 days, thank the Lord, because in today's market, it's not easy. It's just 30 days. And then we got him a house in Sun City. retired and just moved to Sun City.
Sun City. Got it. And he was living in Anthem Parkside or Country Club?
He was in Parkside.
Parkside. Got it. And why did he move from Parkside to Sun City? Is it just an age thing, or
Yeah, he wanted to just cash out of his house.
cash out of his house?
Just cash out.
Downsize.
Downsize, put some money in his bank,
Got it.
and then, just buy a house outright.
All right. So what does your follow-up sequence looks like? Let's say, for example, you meet them at the open house. You made a connection with them. They gave you their information. You said you follow up on Mondays. Is that what you're doing?
I usually follow up on Sundays and Mondays, depending on the day.
Okay, so let's say you meet them on Saturday.
So I meet him on a Saturday.
Yeah.
So on Saturday, what I'll do is I'll go and put everybody's information into the database and into the MLS itself. You might want to edit this part. So what I do is I will put all the criteria in that they gave me. So 3-bedroom, 2-bath, pool, single story. And then I'll put everything into the MLS system as well as my database, and then I will email them properties off of the MLS based upon what the criteria they give. And I have my system set to see when they opened it. So I'll wait like a half an hour, and I'll call them up and say, hey, Joe, just want to make absolutely sure that you got that email in that I sent you out. And if I know that they've opened it and they say, oh, yeah, James, thanks for calling. I really like the one on this street. I'm like, oh, good. I'll be in that neighborhood. Why don't you meet me there? Let's go walk the property. Now, if I email them something out and I know they've opened the email because I have that system, my system is checked to say they opened it, it sends me that email. Well, then you got the email and I know you opened it and you tell me you didn't open it. I know that I have a lot more to move the needle on you.